Good morning from out at the forge. Beautiful morning here in North Carolina. Rained a little bit last night. We really needed the rain. Finally got a little bit. I've been really tied up trying to get out some Christmas orders. It's just been ridiculous to try to keep up these orders, especially for me when I'm working two full-time jobs. So I've not really been able to do any forging that I just wanted to do. Well, I really don't have time today either, but if I don't do something that I just want to do, I'm probably going to get aggravated with the whole mess and start screwing things up. So I got to do a little something for me today. I'm still going to be working on Christmas orders for those of y'all that are waiting, but I'm going to take a few minutes to do something I want to do. So I've got a little piece of 3/16. This is probably 3/16 thick, 3/4 inches wide, 9 inches long or so. I've got an idea. To try to forge a small Seax blade. Now the Seax, for you, those of you that are not blade nuts or history nuts like I am, it was a type of knife or small sword that was used by a lot of the Germanic tribes in the migration period, the very early Middle Ages. I forged a few of them in the past and they turned out well. Don't know how this is going to do. We're just going to give it a shot and see what happens. You know what? If I screw it up, I'll regroup in midstream and we'll make something else. Let's build a fire and smash some steel. We'll get started as always, knocking the corners in. Really need to adjust these tongs. I'll do that in a minute. Make sure everything stays flat. Knock those corners in. I'm going to start backwards on this build. I'm going to work both sides into a point. Keep everything flat. And it's cold this morning. It's cold, the anvil's cold, everything's cold. The anvil's sucking the heat out of the stock pretty quick. Well, that's okay. Get that forge down to a nice point. I'm going to start backwards. And instead of working the point of the knife first, I'm actually going to work the tang of the knife first. I'm just forging in a backwards taper now from what's going to be the tip toward the tang. Haven't forged one of these Seaxes in a long time. Just about every one I've ever forged has been much heavier than what I intend to do with this. I'm going to stretch this little piece of 3/16 out and make a nice, lightweight, thin blade. I want something that's really sharp and really fast. Alright, so now we're going to isolate the tang from what's going to be the blade. I'm forging the tang down and stretching it out. Once again, forge it down, stretch it out. I want that tang to taper from the point where it joins to the blade out to the tip. Actually looking pretty good. It's tapering both ways. Tapering in width and thickness. It's a little bit long, but that's okay. I can cut that off later. Now we're going to roll it around and start thinking about forging in what's going to be the tip of the blade. And there we go, knock that corner down. I'm going to be working just from the one side. Got a little fish mouth in it I had to work out. Right there. My fault, my mistake. There we go. Working from the spine to the tip. The Seax is a single edge knife with a signature downward sloping tip. Blade and the blade edge and the spine usually run just about parallel to one another. Several types of Seax knife. Broken back Seax actually has the transition from the straight part of the spine that slopes down to the tip anywhere from 1/3 to 3/5 of the way back towards where the handle joins. But I'm just doing whatever I want to here on this one. I'm not trying to measure anything. We'll see what happens. You can see I've hammered in the curve there, and that's curving from the spine towards the edge. Yeah, I'm gonna end up with a little choil on this knife, and I didn't really want it, but it'll be okay. Now we're gonna start hammering our bevel in. I'm using the hammer and I'm pulling that steel from the spine down towards the edge. And you notice how that's making the blade wider. And you can see that it's also, as it pinches the steel, forcing that curve to straighten up. It's forcing the edge to curve back toward the spine, which is the reason for such a curve being hammered into it before I started the bevels. And it's still curving back towards the spine a little more than I want. I want that back edge straight. So I'm going to have to try to dress that out. Still got the edge fairly thick, so I can get by with hammering on the edge to dress that spine back out flat. I'm trying to planish my hammer marks out as I go. And that spine's really starting to curve back more than I want. Definitely gonna have to fix that. I want that spine more or less straight. Use the old schwacker, the old piece of wood, to drive it back down straight. Here's a little trick. Piece of 2x4. Spine on the 2x4. Edge is still nice and thick, so I'm not going to deform it. And the 2x4 protects the spine from being deformed by the anvil. Straighten things back out. Now it's starting to look right. Making a little boo-boo right here, but it's nothing I can't take out with a grinder later. And we've almost got out to the tip. Now I want that tip to run straight out. I don't want upward curve in it. I don't want it to sweep back towards the spine. I want the edge and the spine parallel, so that I basically have a long piercing point on this blade. That's actually looking pretty good. Tickle around, make sure I've got all my hammer marks planished out. I'm gonna go with sort of a satin finish on this anyway, but still don't want to lose a lot in grinding. Straighten that tang back out. It got kinked a little bit. That's actually looking pretty good for the rough forging. Can clean this up on the grinder in a little bit, I think. So we've gone from, it's around 11 inches. Okay, so back in the house, finally. I actually almost finished up the Seax I forged. Video was done yesterday. This is what I've come up with so far. Blade here is right at 9 inches. We started out with about 9 inches worth of stock, stretched the tang out. I actually lost about 1.5 inches of the tip because, well, after the quench, I dropped it and broke the tip off. Happens, no big deal. Just finished it out. Did some experimenting with my etching techniques. So we have Anglo-Saxon runes etched in. It actually says courage and loyalty, and just a little basic design on the other side. The handle's walnut. This bolster is deer antler. I'm still going to do some carving and decoration here on the little handle. It's very light, very sharp. It's going to need a period correct sheath to hang that way on the belt, and we'll finish it up. If you're with me for all this time of this video, I appreciate you watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like. Give us a suggestion for future content. We'd appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button. We can always use all the subscribers we can get. Thanks for watching. God bless and have a great night.